Don't just stand there, you ape. Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much.
So, quite a lot riding on this one, huh? The hype surrounding Deadpool and Wolverine has been building for years. It was initially in production at 20th Century Fox, it got put on pause when the Disney merger went through, Hugh Jackman decided to put on the claws one more time, and Disney eventually confirmed it would be a part of the MCU's Phase 5 slate. But plenty has changed for Marvel ever since Deadpool 2 arrived weeks after Infinity War. Major changes in leadership at Disney, the overflow of Disney Plus shows, some of the franchise's biggest stars stepping away, Kevin Feige getting pulled in too many directions to still maintain quality control, the pandemic, the overworking of visual effects studios, and a string of critical disappointments have all led to a major dilution of the MCU. And while I won't stand here and say everything post-Endgame has been disposable, the momentum and overall quality of the multiverse saga can't hold a candle to what came before. It's at a point now where Deadpool and Wolverine is the only MCU movie to drop in theaters this year, and the fanbase and Hollywood at large are holding their collective breath that Feige can right the ship with projects like this, Fantastic Four, and whatever Avengers 5 winds up being. And from purely a fan's perspective, there are plenty of big questions heading into Deadpool 3. Is Disney going to allow the character to be as raunchy as he was in his first two films? Is this what finally brings the mutants into the main MCU universe, beyond cameos and an outstanding animated series? Will this ruin the excellence of James Mangold's Logan by bringing Hugh Jackman back? And will Marvel use the film as a way to somehow get rid of all the multiverse nonsense and get a clean slate? But personally, I was just hoping for a good superhero movie. I didn't need some big paradigm shift within the MCU or the genre as a whole. And thankfully, the movie manages to clear that hurdle. Deadpool and Wolverine might not be here to save Marvel movies, but it's a really fun time. And don't worry, for now I'll hold off on any major spoilers and surprises. The story sees Wade Wilson going through something of a midlife crisis. He's rejected from joining the Avengers, because duh, has given up being Deadpool and has pushed away his friends and longtime girlfriend Vanessa. But when TVA agents show up at his door, he quickly gets looped into a power grab and has to team up with Wolverine to escape the void we saw back in Loki Season 1 and save his entire timeline. Oh, and the movie makes a point that this version of Wolvie isn't the one from Logan. Come to think of it, he's probably the third or fourth version of Wolverine we've seen in the movies, given how little Fox cared about continuity for damn near 2 decades. And while this Logan is a bit more guilt-ridden and nihilistic than previous incarnations, Jackman seamlessly slips back into the performance we've known and loved since the year 2000. And as somebody who has read and reviewed plenty of crossover comics between these two characters, the movie nails the buddy cop dynamic the pair have always had. They can't stand each other on a violent level, but always find common ground in their respective trauma, even if Wade's jokes never fail to drive Logan up the wall. Speaking of which, the humor is just as biting and raunchy as ever. Reynolds still has plenty of laugh-out-loud moments without needing to break the fourth wall, though those do make for some of the funniest bits. And while Marvel humor has become a common complaint, this one still finds a balance between plot, humor, and blood-splattered action. As for the cameos, there's a ton of them, from actors to needle drops to background objects to outright recreations of famous comic panels. Some of the rumored ones are true, a few still caught me by surprise, and I especially loved how they managed to throw audiences off by bringing a particular MCU actor back. But unlike Multiverse of Madness, it never felt like the cameos or references derailed the film, as the focus always stayed centered on the two leads. Sadly, the film has an all-too-familiar weakness: the villain isn't up to snuff. Emma Corrin clearly had fun playing Cassandra Nova as a chaotic evil version of Professor X, but she's never the main source of conflict. This movie is about these two coming together and getting over their respective personal issues. She's never directly tied to that, and it's just an obstacle to get past. It also does that thing where you think you've reached the climax of the film only for another long action sequence to get in the way. My big problem with some of the recent Marvel films is that they feel like 3 different versions of the same movie spliced together in the editing bay. This isn't one of those cases, but the third act made me miss the simplicity of Deadpool 1. I'd also be remiss if I didn't point out that while this is Deadpool 3, the vast majorities of characters from the franchise are shelved for most of the movie. I get this was trying to juggle a lot, but that will probably disappoint fans who were invested in the first 2 films. I also want to address a criticism I've seen in a few negative reviews comparing this to The Flash, a film I was vocally against before most people got to see it. I get the similarities between the two on a surface level, there's plenty of smashing together characters from dead franchises, but there's no question that this is a better experience. It might not be high art, but it's never as ugly as The Flash was, either visually or thematically. The Flash's theme boils down to, hey young people, stop trying to change things about the world around you. Listen to your friendly billionaire and just do nothing. And this movie would mock that idea into submission. I don't know what the legacy of Deadpool and Wolverine will be. I don't know if we'll ever get Reynolds or Jackman in these roles again. And I certainly don't know what the future of the superhero genre looks like. But I do know that for over 2 hours, I was entertained and laughed a lot. And when it comes to Deadpool, that's all you can ever really ask for. Thanks for watching.